In this current climate, day and time, information needs to be given clearly. In this case, Clear Vision with 2020 is a podcast for the people, by the people, that does exactly that. Your host keeps an open eye and mind when dealing with any issue at hand. We empower our audience with knowledge. You matter, and here, I use my voice to support and represent the people. The people are the human family who loves truth. Logical thinking and conversation skills are required for communication. News, culture, music, and entertainment with a clear look from a different perspective. Clear Vision with 2020.
Peace, family. You are now tuned in to Clear Vision with 2020. I am your host, your brother, 2020. Now, this is part 2 of the discussion that I started with the last segment. And part 2 was, what are we going to do now? And I'm going to subtitle that, Unity is the key. Unity is the key. So, we're going to get off into this right now. I want to say peace and love to the audience. Everybody that's tuned in, I hope y'all having a good day today. Good evening, good night, and everything else. So, we are going to get off into this now. In light of everything that's happening right now, COVID-19, the way this government is going, the way these elections is going, all of this insurrection and uprising that's happening, what are we going to do as black people? Now, this is just going to be the first part. I'm going to come with a second part as well. Because I really want to discuss a few things, as far as the next steps that should be taken when it comes to how we're going to start moving in our community. How we're going to start taking care of the things that we need to take care of. And we need to step up and do that ourselves, and not worry about asking people for anything. I feel like we have enough people right now who are professionals in the things that they do that we can pretty much put our own community together and do everything that we need to do. From hiring the people that we need to run our own businesses all the way up to running our own government. So, I want to start off by saying that I listen to a lot of different people on YouTube. I listen to a lot of black news, I guess you could say. I listen to a lot of different perspectives as far as our people are concerned and the things that we need to do. Here lately, I've been listening to the Karen Hunter show. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, but I'm pretty sure you need to get familiar with her. One of her guests is Dr. Carr. He is a professor of Africana Studies in, I think it's Howard University, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see real quick. Pull up some information about that real quick. Yeah, he is a very intelligent brother. He has a lot of information on a lot of different things as far as our history goes. He's a very good He's a very good source to go to in this case as well as her podcast. You know, it's the Karen Hunter Show. So look her up on YouTube. But they were talking about the insurrection. The insurrection of 1/6/21 and who America is. Now, you know this country was founded on revolution. You know, we all know that. Starting with the American Revolution. But the part that seems to be either left out or forgotten is the fact that it wasn't a peaceful revolution. It was a violent revolution. Now, they wanted to get away from the king and queen, which is understandable. You know, you don't want to be under a monarchy. You want to have your own political structure and everything. So you decide you want to go somewhere else and do it, but you can't go anywhere else because everywhere you go, somewhere else, somebody else is already there with their own form of government. So we know that history of how this country was formed, we're pretty much aware of that at this point. Okay, so we really don't need to go over it too much. Just need to go back and refresh ourselves on it, because it's a lot of stuff that's been left out, and it's a lot of stuff that's not talked about. Those are the things that need to be discussed. Understood, so we can move on to the next phase. You know, we need to learn from the history and learn not to make the same mistakes that's been made already. She made a point when she said that we need to figure this thing out real fast. And if we don't understand that we need to stop doing a lot of the stuff that we do to each other and have some unity, we might not survive this. Which brings me to something that the minister said. Which brings me to something that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us. How strong is our foundation? Can we survive? Now look at our communities. We all know all of the stuff that's been done. We all know how our communities have been pretty much destroyed. We know that. And some of us took part in that. Myself included. I'm not about to sit here and sugarcoat that. Even though it was a short time period, yeah, I took part in destroying my community. And I've been paying for it ever since. But now that we know that, what are we going to do to rebuild it? You know, we have to start rebuilding our communities. We have to start rebuilding the wasted parts of our cities that we live in and make them safe and decent places. I think the only way to start that is that we need to have a genuine love for ourselves. Again, if we don't have that, then how are we going to survive? You know, if I don't love my neighbor enough to not want to break into his house and take what he got, or if I don't love my person that stay around the corner from me enough to not want to break his windows or do anything to his property, then we can't have anything. So it does start with us at the end of the day. And we got to have some unity, and there needs to be some unity involved in this. If it's not, then I don't know what we're going to do. So one of the things that we're taught in our lessons is that when you have a knowledge of self, you have a love for self. And these lessons are not just exclusive to members of the Nation of Islam, because those lessons are the lessons that are the foundation of what you call today the nation of gods and earths, the 5% nation. You know, so Those lessons are readily available for anybody who wants to begin to have a true knowledge of self. But those lessons are just words on the paper without any practical application or practical information and knowledge behind those lessons. It'll just be like reading a book. So my suggestion would be at all times is to get with people who have a thorough knowledge of these lessons, as well as utilizing these lessons every day in their lives. And the only people that I know that do that, so you can always go to NOI.org and join your Nation of Islam and come home to your nation, because it's open to you at all times. Even if you are not a registered member, you are a member of the Nation of Islam. If you are a member of or a person of a black person, particularly in the United States, 40 to 60 million of us in the United States, we are a nation within a nation. This is the Nation of Islam. You can take it or leave it. It's up to you. Our unity is the only thing that's going to help us survive this time. So, our unity is the only thing that's going to get us through. We need to keep this in mind. With all of the stuff that we do on a regular basis, all of the ways that we quote unquote hustle and everything else, there isn't any reason why we shouldn't be able to come together and start putting our community back together again. We need to get rid of all this envy and this strife that we got in between each other because of all the stuff that done happened out here on these streets. A lot of us got ourselves into that stuff because we participated in the lifestyle. So we can't get mad. We just got to take it. It's a lot of blood out there, though. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying it's not going to be easy. I mean, it's going to be easy because it's not. And in some cases, it's not going to happen. In some areas, there's not going to be any unity at all. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to those people in particular. I hope they'll be able to work it out some way, shape, or form. But, the ball still got to keep rolling and everything got to keep moving. So when you're ready to come be a part of your nation, when you're ready to, be a influence and a positive spark in the community, then it's always open for you to come back. We don't never close the door on our people. That's not how we do it. Now, if you're not going to do good or you're not going to do right, then you might have to get dealt with. I'm just saying, like I said, it's going to be a time where, the police is going to be there to really save you, because, you're going to have to actually deal with the community when you do some stuff to them that they don't like, when you do some stuff to them that's out of pocket. You're going to have to deal with the people. Don't worry about the police. You're going to have to deal with the people. The people are going to be knocking on your door ready to deal with you. So this is just a brief segue into what we're going to do now and what's next, basically. Brother Ishmael Muhammad, the assistant to the assistant to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, did a lecture called 2021 What's Next. Go check that out. This is the information we need as people today. So information is power, and anything that don't hurt you can possibly be good for you. So on that note, I'm going to end this one real quick We gonna come back for another segment here soon. This is your brother H in 2020, Clear Vision with 2020, and I'm out. Peace.
Peace, family. It's your brother, 2020, and you are tuned in to Clear Vision Commentary today. So, this is the second part of the video that you are actually watching. Was it NOI and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad Wright, Part 2, Unity is the Key. This is the second segment of that. So, it's been a minute since I've been on speaking on this particular thing, and what I wanted to say was, adding on to what I was saying in the previous segment, we have what it takes to run a nation, a city, a community, however you want to put it together. We have the resources. We have professionals. We got people who will do the work. We got those who clear the land. We got those who will help set up the municipalities, set up the community things, all of the stuff that's needed. We have all of that. But what about the people? I mean, in order for you to have a good community, you have to have good people in the community. Which brings me to my reason for doing this video. It takes good people to have a good community. And self-improvement is the basis for community development. I say that to say this. Today, I was sitting and I was watching Black Panther. I'm sitting here watching this movie with somebody I care about. And I value their outlook and their opinion. So we were watching the movie and she said something that kind of struck me, which brought me to this segment here. She was like, instead of being anything and everything the world wants you to be, why don't you try to be a T'Challa? Now, the scene on the movie we were watching was when him and Mbutu had their duel, their showdown at the beginning of the movie. And Mbutu told him he'd rather die. And T'Challa was like, just give up. You're king, your people need you. He could have killed him, but he decided not to, because he knew that he was more important to his people alive than he was dead. So her original idea for this meme was, instead of being criminals, instead of being called gangsters and thugs and bad people, instead of inspiring to be that, why don't you inspire to be a T'Challa? And that made me think. I said, you know, that's perfect for this second part of this segment. So, knowing that we need as many good people in our community as possible, just not for the sake of having good people, but for the sake of being able to build something good. Why not strive to be that? You know, I remember growing up I used to not really care too much about whether I learned anything or not. I'd rather hang out with the homies, do what they was doing. If they didn't really go to school and they didn't care too much about school, I didn't either. You know, if they wanted to hang out on the stump all day, if I could, because mom wasn't really having that, so I would just hang out with them as much as I could, do whatever they did. So after a while, I started getting that mentality that I didn't really care. Wasn't passing none of my classes or none of that stuff. Then we moved. And I'm going to tell you the contrast, and I'm going to get to exactly to where I'm trying to go with it. We moved. I had to go to a different school. Wasn't as many black people at this school, but all the black people at this school took their education seriously. They looked at it a little bit different. That made me look at myself a little bit different. So then I knew that, first of all, I didn't want to look like I didn't care in front of these black people. Secondly, I was seeing what they were doing versus what I was doing, and I was like, let me see what it takes to do that. So I kind of started changing a few things up. Started adjusting how I move. Shout out to Golden Child. You know, Golden Child. How I move. That take care. That brother right there. He got some good music. But so I started adjusting how I move. It changed a lot of things up as far as the perception of me as a person. Still got lumped in the young black male category, but I was looked at a little bit different. I was moving a little bit different. And I started realizing that the information I was getting was important. Now, at the same time, there were some instances where you got talked about and you got treated halfway sideways for being intelligent. Like it was something wrong with you being smart. Like going to school and being getting your grades and learning the lessons, learning your lesson. You know, it was like it was something wrong with that. You wasn't cool if you was learning your lesson. If you had the backpack on, you was considered a nerd, so on and so forth. And it was some people who made being smart uncool. Like you wasn't in the cool crowd if you was a nerd, if you was smart, if you liked to read, or if you anything other than what everybody else was doing. So when she said that, that really made me think. When we were coming up, we actually had some music that catered to our good side, that wanted to talk to us about who we were, how important it is to learn, to get knowledge, whether it was knowledge itself or whatever. So when I started listening to that, that started raising my vibration up even higher. So the reason why I'm talking about this tonight is because there is going to come a time where we need to put our intelligence on display. We need to show and prove that we are who we say we are and that we can do what everybody else does. And in some cases, we might even do it better. Be the best version of yourself. What's wrong with that? You know, there's a couple of sisters that, in the wake of our brothers Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd being killed at the hands of police officers, and we call them modern day lynchings to a point. No, we call them modern day lynchings, period. After they seen that, they decided to pool their resources and buy some acres of land and start their own city. At first, they were just going to open it up to relatives. You know, whoever's related to us and our families, yeah, put in some money. You know, we're going to start our own city. Because we need to be in a place where we can be safe, away from all of that. The response was overwhelming. To the point to where they ended up buying some more acres. Now, in order for you to build a city or build a town, you have to have people who know how, or who know the trades and the skills required to put a city together. These sisters been getting calls left and right about people helping them put this together. It takes intelligence to build a city. It takes intelligence to put together a community. And to think that we talked so much mess to each other about being intelligent, that we were actually fostering in our own demise. We were so adamant to just run with the crowd and not care about everything else that was going on, that we put ourselves behind. We put ourselves behind. I mean, we put ourselves so far behind, it was ridiculous. So now we're playing catch up. And there's brothers out here who are gathering this information and bringing it to us so we can do something better with ourselves, so we can do something better with our community. So we can build instead of destroy. There comes a time to destroy. Now it's time to destroy. It's time to destroy those old stereotypes. It's time to destroy the unwillingness and the lack of caring enough about our community to want to build it up and make it a safe and decent place to live. You know, it's time to destroy the system of white supremacy. It's time to destroy the system of black inferiority as well. No, we aren't less than zero. We aren't anything other than human beings. There comes a time to destroy these negative stereotypes and mindsets that we have towards one another and towards the world, towards finance, towards agriculture, towards education. We need to kill all of that, because we need all of those things to be able to have a community, to be able to have a city, to be able to have a nation, a state, or a territory. All of that's involved. So we can't hate all of these industries and still expect somebody else to give us all the stuff that we need. So, you know, being that T'Challa, being that king figure, even if it's not in the physical or the material sense, but being that king in having the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, having the love for your people, you know, wanting to pass the knowledge on, wanting to share your wisdom, you know, wanting to help gain the understanding that's needed, so we'll be able to make it to this next step. There's nothing wrong with being a king in that sense. It's not about riches all the time, you know, and you can't have a whole bunch of kings and not have any soldiers, any subjects, any people that build, any builders. You know, everybody has a part to play in order for this to be what it needs to be. You know, so Why not be the best version of yourself? But in order for you to be the best version of yourself, you have to know yourself, and then you really have to think about how you feel about yourself in order for you to be that best version of yourself. You know, that's the important thing. So I wanted to say that because I feel like now is the time for us to be the best version of ourselves. Now is the time for us to be able to take this to a whole nother level. Those two sisters just started a whole snowball effect. So now what people are probably going to start doing is they're probably going to start looking into this thing themselves. You know, we do need to make our neighborhoods safe and decent places to live. If not for us, we need to do that for our children. So I just wanted to add that to this segment because I think it's a fitting part of the segment for us, you know, to continue on with that. Now, our unity is the key. And the only way we are going to make that happen is our unity is the only thing that's going to make it happen. So we have to come together and pool our resources. You know, there are people in our community that are doing things to try and alleviate a lot of the stuff that's going on right here in Anderson, Indiana. You know, the west side of the town has a food desert. There's no supermarkets over there. The only thing there is over there is convenience stores that sell processed food. That includes your gas stations and your Family Dollar. There are people that are making honest attempts to try and get a supermarket over there, try to get some fresh produce over there, try to get some decent food over there, but they're not getting any assistance from the city. And they got to jump through all of these hoops and go through all of this paperwork and do all of this stuff. But whenever somebody else wants to do something in the city, they get the funding right away. No problem. No problem at all. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother time, but it brings me back to when we start being resilient enough to do it for ourselves. So my brothers, you know, started a food bus. You know. Then I got another brother, you know. This is the Redwood Foundation who started the food bus. You know. Then my brother, you know, Domino started the West Side Concern Coalition Committee. He has food boxes in different parts of the city, you know, for people who want to donate food to those who aren't fortunate enough to be able to go to the grocery store. See, these are some things that are needed in the community. These are the types of steps that you take when you want to build and put together something, and just letting the people know that, hey, we're here. You know, our unity is what's going to make this thing happen. It's not going to happen no other way. Yeah, and we're going to have to start policing our own communities too. You know, so if you don't want the police all up in here killing and shooting and doing all of this other stuff, then we're going to have to police ourselves. Not the type of policing we've been used to seeing, but a whole nother type of policing, community policing. You know, when you know your neighbor from one end of the street to the other, then it's not going to be any problem. When you know everybody in your community, then we all going to be on the same page. You know, that's another part of this conversation. I just wanted to touch on a few things because our unity is the most important thing in this whole situation. And I wanted to go ahead on and finish out this particular segment. And I do believe that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was right. Master Fard Muhammad was right. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was right. This country is unraveling. is falling. This system of white supremacy is falling, and we have to be ready to put something else in its place. We just have to be, especially those of us who had been dependent upon this system for as long as we have. So I'm gonna share some more information with you about the brothers that I know that are taking the proper precautions to do what they need to do to aid and assist the rest of us to try and get on code. No, I ain't gonna even say that, because a lot of us are already on code. To get a lot of us financially educated so we can start moving different and doing different things with our money. So this is your brother Agent 2020. Be sure to check out the site. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like the videos, comment on the videos. You know, I want to hear what you got to say about some of these conversations we've been having here. You know, make sure you subscribe to the Red Dot Dialogue playlist. You know, go through that. If anything you hear in there, leave a comment. We'll probably do a show on it. You know, as well as go to www.vibesshow.org. That's VIBESSHOW.org. Check out our website. You know, we got some stuff we're gonna be updating here soon. So yeah, it was just something I wanted to finish out. I thought this was a good time and a good segue into it. You know, the energy was right and the thought process was properly and put in place. So I just felt like I wanted to share that. So this is your brother, 2020, Clear Vision Commentary, and I'm out. Peace.